if my husband or daughter's not around, he'll bark, and then he will, depending on type of seizure, because I have more than one type, he'll get to the positioning that he needs to be in, whether it's getting me down on the ground, he'll get under my head. If I go to convulse, he'll make sure he's underneath so I don't get hurt. He's so big, it's hard for him to turn around, but he will actually get in the tub and get behind me and lift me out of the water if my head goes down. When I woke up, I don't have any memory of the first 40 years of my life. It did something to my memory. So I still haven't regained those memories back. I remember bits and pieces of stuff. When I woke up, I didn't know who he was. I didn't know where I was at. It was so scary. It was horrible.
Hello and welcome to the Lock-In Podcast. This is our new format. We're recorded. We're out on audio platforms. If you haven't seen us before, get onto YouTube. There's a big back catalogue of episodes before, but this is our new format. And also, we've got our first guest from the USA. We're 27 or 28 episodes in, and we've never had a guest from the USA. How rude.
Sorry, USA.
Sorry to the USA.
I feel privileged.
There you go. Our first ever guest on the Lock-In Podcast from the USA is Tina. Hello, Tina.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. There's me, there's Baz, and there's Tina. And also, we have a first animal on the podcast. We've never had an animal on before.
That's debatable.
So if you are listening, if you're listening on the audio platform, whatever audio platform you listen to, you're not going to appreciate this. But Tina, can you just show us?
Max, come here. Over here. Come here.
If you're what? There we go.
He's not
if you're watching,
he's rolling over now. So here, let's put your head up. There
we go. There's Max. So we have Tina and Max on today's podcast. Now, for those that don't know who Tina and Max are, if you want to follow them, Tina and Max, Tina_N_Max, I think it is on TikTok.
Yep.
Correct. Yeah. Got it in front of me.
Tina has set up a TikTok account. Basically showing her life with Max. Max is not just a pet. Max is also he's a service dog or support animal. I think they're also called in different places around the world. And that's because, Tina, you suffer from epilepsy, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So,
and Max would actually be considered, for epilepsy, he is considered a service dog.
So, like we're saying, you started a TikTok and you've got currently 160,000 followers. But by the time this goes out, it's probably going to be way, way more than that. But yeah, for those of us that don't know, could you walk us through what's Max's role in as a service dog?
Well, he actually, it's kind of weird. He was never actually intended to be a service dog. I got Max when he was 8 weeks old, and he was a birthday present for my little girl. And he just really took up to me. He always wanted to be with me and beside me. And when he was about 3 months of age or so, he kind of started seizure alerting on his own. Like, because sometimes I can tell when I'm going to have a seizure, sometimes I can't. And when I would go into one, he would circle around me and like kind of nudge me with his nose and bark or whine and just kind of act like, out of character than what he normally would act. So I kind of thought it was weird. Me and my husband noticed he started doing that. So then from there, I decided to try to maybe get him into some kind of training, because service dogs are very expensive. So it's something I would never be able to afford. So a gentleman that actually trained military police dogs, he reached out to me and donated his time and his experience as far as like the basic training that I would need for Max. So I got like all the basic training down as far as what he would need to know just to make him like, listen to me, as far as that. And then he kind of gave me some pointers on service training, and then everything else I've just done myself. So what his main role is, he will, if I go into a seizure or he senses something, Max, he'll
something
alert.
Now. It's not a seizure, but he's just sensed something.
My other dogs are in there barking. I've got 2 little dogs, and they bark at everything, so he hears them in there. But he will bark to alert my husband or my daughter that I need them to come, because he doesn't usually leave out of the same room that I'm in. It's very rare if he does. He doesn't stay away from me very long. But he'll bark to alert for help if he knows that I'm going to go into one, or even if I sense it and I kind of get to a place and sit down, or, you know, whatever the case is, if my husband or daughter's not around, he'll bark, and then he will, depending on type of seizure, because I have more than one type, he'll get to the positioning that he needs to be in, whether it's getting me down on the ground, he'll get under my head. If I go to convulse, he'll make sure he's underneath so I don't get hurt. If I just kind of, there's different ones where my legs just kind of go out and I fall, I don't lose consciousness. He will lay on top of me across my chest and kind of do like a pressure therapy type thing and lick my face to kind of help me come back to. So it's, and it's weird because he knows the difference. He can tell just by looks on my face. I have really bad migraines. If I put my head a certain way, rub my forehead, or take off my glasses in a certain manner, he is like up and already almost to my lap before I can even, you know, notice something's coming on, because he pays that much attention. So, but he takes his role really seriously too. And he's on it. Like it's crazy to me, because he's not actually certified or fully trained yet. I still got some work to do as far as like out in public to take him with me places, like, you know, to make sure he's 100% trained before I start taking him everywhere. But he is inside the home. He is like on it. It's crazy.
So we were talking just before we started recording. You were saying that this is for the people that don't know, that you've got different types of epilepsy and for sort of different stages. Yours is sort of particularly different, isn't it?
Yeah, because I have an epilepsy that is not controlled with medication. Like I take medication, but I've been on so many different ones through the years that they don't really work anymore. So I'm basically the same with or without the medication. So they just consider it, they don't really know what caused my seizures, so they just call it epilepsy, but it's not controlled with medication. So I don't have a driver's license. I haven't had a driver's license for like 20 years. I don't have a job because of it, because they took my job. You know, it's kind of, it puts a limit on a lot of stuff. I'm not supposed to be left home alone, and things like that, because they're so unpredictable. I could be fine for a week and not even have one, and then, or even 2 weeks, and then boom, I could have one a couple days in a row, or I could have more than one in one day. You know, it's just they come out of nowhere. And I have really bad migraines, usually about 4 days a week, and it's accompanied, you know, because of the seizures, because of the damage that I've got. And about in 2018, and this is also on my TikTok, but I don't know if you're familiar with this. In 2018, I had a really, really bad seizure, and my husband found me in the hallway. And after a seizure, a lot of people probably don't know, but after a seizure, you're extremely tired. Like I could sleep like a whole entire day. You know, if I was able, and I'm really sore and I'm just kind of out of it, kind of confused. Well, he found me in our hallway, and this is when Max was only a tiny puppy. So it was before he started, you know, being able to help me or anything. I evidently must have got out of bed and went into the bathroom, and I fell in the hallway. And so he took me to the living room and sat me down in the recliner, and I was asleep. When I woke up, I don't remember any of that, but when I woke up, I don't have any memory of the first 40 years of my life. It did something to my memory. So I still haven't regained those memories back. I remember bits and pieces of stuff. When I woke up, I didn't know who he was. I didn't know where I was at. It was so scary. It was horrible. I remember everything from that day till now, and the past stuff before that. I remember, like, I've got flashes of bits and pieces back here and there, not a whole lot. It's mainly living through pictures and what everyone has told me, and kind of, you know, being told the stuff. My doctor told me that they could come back in bits and pieces. I could go to sleep and wake up the next day and remember everything, or I may never remember any of it. It's just, you know, you can't, with types of different amnesia and brain injuries and stuff, you really don't know. And you know, there's nothing they can do for that. Right. But so it was kind of relearning everyone and everything about myself. I didn't even know what I looked like. I had to look in the mirror to see if what I looked like matched my pictures. It was the first few months, and even up until, I mean, even now I struggle with it. Sometimes I have days where it really bothers me, but the first, like, even 6 months was horrible. It was so horrible. And that's where Max really came in to be a big comfort when I started training with him and doing stuff like that. It's just, it's been a roller coaster.
Clearly.
Like dumbfounded, yeah.
I was going to say, I can't imagine what that's like. Obviously, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Like, that's a ridiculous thing to say. But so, have you effectively had to begin a new relationship with your husband and your children, and just kind of
Yeah, everything again, because I didn't remember any of that. Like I didn't
That's a
remember getting
completely
married.
different story. Wow.
Yes. I my oldest daughter just turned 24, and my youngest is 12, and I didn't remember anything about their childhoods. I got a granddaughter that's 4. You know, it's I've had to just pretty much be told everything all over again. It's been tough, and it's kind of weird. Like I don't know, because like when I see certain people and I talk to certain people, it's like I feel like in here I don't, like, I know I don't know you, you know, by looking, but it's like I felt like I knew, you know what I mean? And he's like, well, your heart, the only way I can explain it is your heart don't forget, even though your mind might remember. And I was like, well, I mean, that's a good way to look at it, because it was like I knew I felt connection with certain people, even though I didn't remember in my mind, you know. So, but yeah, that's a whole different story in a nutshell. But yeah, but that's something that a bad seizure caused. So I mean, it can do so much trauma to your life.
That's going to make your school reunion very interesting.
I introduced this earlier with ordinary people with extraordinary stories to tell. We had no idea your story was that extraordinary.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't know about that except people that were closest to me, and you know, and I did put that on my TikTok, but unless you go back and actually look on one of my TikToks, you probably wouldn't see that on there. I did actually put that out there a while back on TikTok, on one of my TikToks, but without all the detail of what I've explained to you, it's kind of, you know.
There's a term in our country called gobsmacked, and I think both of us right now are a little bit like, okay.
You're both in your face and you're like, wait a minute.
This is definitely the least Baz and I have talked on a podcast. We're just sitting going,
what?
Oh my God, that's amazing and interesting and harrowing and all of those things all rolled into one.
Every time I tell it to anybody, they just kind of look at me with the look on their face like, you're kidding, right? And I'm like, no, I mean, no. And I've seen people like out in stores and this and that, and like I didn't go anywhere for a long time. I wouldn't go out in public where I live, because we live in a really small town. Everybody knows everybody, and I was just like terrified, because people would come up to me and talk to me, and they want to hug you and they want to do this, and I'm like, to me it's like hugging strangers, you know, and different things, and so I really wouldn't go out that much. And then I would go and see people, and they'd be like, you remember me? And I'm like, you know, I really don't. Yeah, you do, you know. I'm thinking, no, I really don't, you know. It's just, it would kind of got really overwhelming there for a while, and then my doctor's like, don't push yourself too hard, because you can set yourself back. Every little progress you make, you could actually set yourself back, because you're trying too hard. Because I was every day looking at pictures, you know, trying to get as many stories as I could. And I actually made myself worse after about the first year. I kind of had a little bit of a setback, but you know, I'm doing better now as far as everything with that.
Well, I know you shouldn't make light of it, but I'm just thinking of all the people that I wanted to forget when I was
Well, that's what a lot of people say to me. Well, hey, there's a lot of stuff that you probably don't want to remember. Yeah. Now you don't remember, you know.
It's a shame you can't choose which bits, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
The first time we were, people Kathy showed us your story and said we might be interested in getting you on the podcast. It was all about the dog, because I'm a massive dog lover. I absolutely love dogs. And you know what? When I see a service dog, or you know, a guide dog, or a dog that helps people with disabilities, I start to well up with tears just looking at service dogs. So I'm keeping it together so far, but my heart just melts when I say, because I just think, I call them dogs with jobs. I'm a bit more simplistic about it, and I just think dogs with jobs they warm my heart so much. Because they're just dogs anyway. Dogs anyway are selfless, loving, forgiving, compassionate, you know, great company, and all of those amazing things. And then you've got these ones who are, you know, who've got jobs. My two are just, they couldn't care less. They're just asleep in the kitchen. They've got not a care in the world. Yours is, you know, Max there, he's on high alert.
And he could be like sound asleep. I didn't sleep well last night. That's why he's so tired today, because I had a really bad migraine and I was up about all night, and he stayed up with me. So he's like really lazy today sleeping. But if as sound asleep as he is, if he sensed something even in his sleep, or I started getting sick, he would be like on it. It's crazy to me.
I got a little glimpse of that in one of your videos. One of the first videos I saw was you were training him to respond if you had a seizure in the bath.
Yes.
Oh, I just
Yes.
love the thing I love about that video is he's completely, and it goes to what you were just saying there. He's completely looking in the opposite direction,
Yep.
and you slip down maybe an inch.
Barely, yes.
You slip down an inch, and he's watching one way, and all of a sudden he doesn't do anything other than just turns and glares at you,
Yeah.
as if to go, "Is something happening here?" No,
Yep.
he doesn't bark. He doesn't respond anything other than, "Right, you've got my attention now."
Yes.
And he's just purely focused on you. And then you slip down a lot further, and he then springs into action, like barking, trying to drag
Yes.
you up and things. That moment there, it's quite, it's relatively subtle, but that bit where you just move down a tiny bit, and he's just not paying attention. He's looking the opposite direction, and all of a sudden it's just like, boom, both eyes on you, and just like, is something happening here? It's just phenomenal, really powerful.
And he will actually, which we're working on. I haven't got this mastered yet. I'm trying to teach him to pull the plug out of the bathtub so that the water. Yeah, I'm trying to teach him that. He's so big to get in my little bathtub because really, my doctor will always tell you, don't take a bath. You're supposed to take showers if you have seizures. But if I take showers, he knocks the door open the whole entire time because he does not like that for the door to be shut, or even the curtain or whatever. He takes his nose and opens it. So I'm trying to teach him when I am in the bath if he needs to, but he's so big, it's hard for him to turn around, but he will actually get in the tub and get behind me and lift me out of the water if my head goes down. And he hates water. Max absolutely hates water. He hates the bath. He hates the rain, but he will get in if I need him. He'll get in the bathtub with water.
So sorry, this gets me on to what you said earlier. So you didn't get him as a service dog. So he was like brought into your family as a pet.
Yes. Yeah.
Does he still get that opportunity to be?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Around the house, like inside of the house, when he's not wearing, like he's got a service dog vest, and and got his accessories when I take him out of the house. But in the house, when he's not wearing his vest, he's just like a pet. He's treated no different. He is so spoiled, but he knows the difference when he's needed on his job, or when we can be in full play mode or be just cuddling or be getting lovin's or pets or treats. And if I get sick, he changes completely.
Yeah,
it's like he just knows. But around the house, he is treated no different than my other dogs. He's actually probably more spoiled.
For those that are listening on the audio platform, Max has just realised that he wasn't in shot. So he's stood up, he's walked across the bed, and he's proving that he is just a normal dog because he's just having a little chill. He's having a little sleep behind her.
So can I ask, what breed is Max?
He's a German Shepherd.
And
he's a full-blooded. He's a King German Shepherd. Actually, he's a little bit on the bigger because he's pretty good size. And he's full-blooded German Shepherd. So
in the service dog world, obviously there are trained dogs to deal with epilepsy. Is he quite a common breed as a service dog?
I've heard from other people that German Shepherds are, one of the common breeds, and I've looked up stuff. I really don't know myself, but I've looked up into and a lot of people I see have service dogs have German Shepherds. So I think a lot of it's with, any dog, can be trained to do, different tasks and stuff like that, which I've seen. But German Shepherds, they just seem to be so intelligent. Like I've got other dogs, and I absolutely am the biggest animal lover. I love all my animals, but Max is just so smart. Anything I teach him, it's like he has it down in 1 or 2 times. I can teach him something in 1 day that it might take my other dog like a month to because I got 2 Chihuahua mixes, so they got minds of their own.
I was just going to say that German Shepherds are often used as police dogs. Firstly, because of their size and their, they can be ferocious if you train it in the right way in terms of really intimidating, but also because they're really intelligent. But just as I was saying, you talked about your Chihuahua. I'm not aware of any police forces around the world using Chihuahuas yet. But speaking of the Chihuahua, is it 1 or 2 Chihuahuas? I've only seen 1. Have you got?
I've
2
got
Chihuahuas?
2. Yeah, I've got 2. Well, the other one we don't really know what he's mixed with because we rescued him from somebody down the road that was actually gonna kind of throw him out. They didn't want him anymore, so we took him in. We've had him about a year, so we don't know what breed he is, but he's yappy like a Chihuahua. So he's small, so I say he's probably mixed with some kind of Chihuahua.
Is that Alvin, or is Alvin the Chihuahua?
Alvin's the Chihuahua, and he's the oldest of all the dogs, and he is the most dominant. Max is the least dominant of all of the dogs we have. You think he'd be the king of the house and the more dominant over the little dogs, but he's not. He's the least dominant. He just kind of goes to flow and does whatever they want him to do. It's crazy. It's funny.
Another one of my favorite videos of yours is one where Max has picked up that you're not in a great place. So he gets up onto the bed and he's really snuggling in because, it's not just, He's not just there for you to alert you in the case of a seizure, or if he's there to lift your mood and just, you know, he knows when you're sad. And the video, I love it. You're on the bed and Max jumps up and he, like, in fact, Alvin jumps up first, couldn't give a shit about you.
Yes.
Max jumps up, goes, "You're not very happy, come here," like, it gives you a big hug. Meanwhile, I don't know if you've noticed, but it looks like the Chihuahua's watching the TV while that's happening. He's just sat at the end of the bed going, whatever.
Yeah, he could care less. My daughter was actually in here, and he was standing there looking towards the TV, watching what she was doing. He didn't care what was going on with me up there. He could care less.
It was amazing. It just made that video for me, because not only did it highlight how compassionate, understanding, and, you know, and amazing Max is as a service dog. It just basically gave the contrast of everybody else's dog would be doing what the Chihuahua was doing.
Well, that's what a lot of people commented. What about the Chihuahua in the corner? He could care less. And I'm like, yeah, he doesn't care.
No.
If I go into a big seizure, he will whine after it's over, and he'll come and nuzzle up to me. But he's not. He takes his times of. He don't want to mess with most of the time. But yeah, Max is something else.
So the fascinating about this is that, have you looked into the kind of science of why Max is able to do what he's able to do, and your other dogs don't sort of, like, you know, do the same thing that he does?
I don't really know, but a lot of people have told me it's just some kind of a instinct that they have, and I know people have told me that the bond with their handler, you know, with the trainer and stuff, it puts them more in tune with them, and, you know, the better your bond, the better the dog's gonna be at what they're doing. And Max and I mean, as far as, like I said, I treat him just like a pet when he's in the house. I don't treat him like, you know, no, you got to stay down. You got, you know, like a working animal, like that he doesn't get attention, because he's treated, you know, he's treated wonderfully. And I think that's what makes our bond so strong, because, I mean, we just have a great, you know, animal handler bond. Besides him being a service dog, he is my pet, and he's a family member. You know, I don't treat my pets like pets. You know, some people say they're just dogs, but to me, they're not just dogs. I treat my dogs, you know, like a member of the family, you know.
What's the timeline with Max? Did you have him before your really big seizure that sort of rendered your past sort of a thing of the past?
We had only had him for a couple weeks. He was really little. He was only about 10 weeks old. My oldest daughter, when that happened, the day that it happened, she took my dogs to her house, you know, just to kind of give me a break, because everything was so overwhelming. And she said Max stayed at her door and howled and whined until she brought him back home. And we'd only had him for 2 weeks.
Yeah, okay.
And she said he would not even lay down. He wouldn't do any. She said he sat by the door and he howled and whined until she brought them back home. He's just been very, very attached to me ever since we got him. My daughter always jokes and says, he was supposed to be my dog. And, you know, I don't have a dog now, you know, because it was intentionally meant for her for her birthday. It was her choice. Do you want a puppy or a bicycle? Of course, who's going to pick a bicycle, you know? And
thank God she didn't choose the bicycle, because the service bicycle wouldn't be very good.
Yes, I was reluctant to get a big dog in the house because I've got small dogs, but, you know, it was the best decision I ever made.
That's got to be right up there for understatements of the decade. It was like, yeah, it was quite a good decision to get this one.
Yeah, it was.
Being a big dog like he is,
yes,
there's a benefit there, because obviously he's similar height to you when he's on his hind legs, and you know, he can get up and kind of, you know, help you down to the floor rather than just kind of wait for you to drop and get underneath.
Yes, and like, I mean, like with a smaller dog, you know, there'd be no way they could get underneath me and do that. I'd probably crush them. But like a lot of people was putting on my video, can the dog breathe? You know, is the dog in any danger? Max is in no danger. When he's trained, I have trained him how to get under me. I mean, I taught him how to do that. I don't know how other people teach theirs, or they might do it in different ways. But I just thought like, okay, what do I want him to know? What is a problem that I kind of have when I go into one, so that we can be protected and he won't get hurt and I won't get hurt. So I have kind of trained him what to do. And when he gets underneath me to get me down, he gets underneath me to where all that's really on him is my arms, until he gets me down to the floor and he gets under my head. He will. That's why in that one video you see his legs moving. It looks like he's kicking. He's not kicking because he's stuck. Somebody was saying, you're smashing the dog. He's stuck. He's kicking. He can't move. moving himself up to get under my head is what he was trying, without him actually moving all the way out from underneath of me. He knows his positioning. He knows what he's supposed to do. And he can actually, with me like that dead weight, get underneath of me and move me across the floor if he wanted to, so he's not in any danger at all. I would never do anything that would put him in any danger. If anything, he's protecting me, and he knows it, and he 100% knows that he's doing his job.
I don't know about Mike. I've since hearing about, like, obviously your condition worsened 3 years ago. I've got a million questions, but what I really want to know is that, like, so presumably you wouldn't know whether you were sort of social. Do you have a sort of social life where you go out and with friends and things like that?
No, I really don't, and I didn't a whole lot before. I don't guess my husband said we really didn't, just because I didn't really like to. I don't guess, just because it makes it hard with with the disorder I have, but now, even since then, not very hardly. And then
presumably if you go anyway, Max is with you all the time, I assume.
In public, I don't take him everywhere right now in public, since he's not all the way trained. But in public, I'm never alone. My husband's always with me, and my husband kind of can tell. He knows the cues even just by looking at my face. I guess I get a different look on my eyes and even my face. My daughter can even pick up on it if I'm not feeling well, sometimes even before I do. But I don't take Max everywhere since he's not fully trained yet, because I want to make sure he's 100%. Because, it makes it hard sometimes when people take animals that aren't service animals into stores, when they're really, they get vest for them and stuff, and they take them in just because they don't want to leave them home. Then it makes it hard for real service animals, because you might go in and then they're barking at your dog, and then it might cause your dog to miss an alert. And with Max is only 2, so he is still young. So I want him to be fully, trained on all aspects before he goes, everywhere like that.
What's the process on that? And you said, like, I should imagine. Well, certainly in the UK, if you were looking for a service dog or an assistance dog or whatever they're called in different countries around the world, there's a process you go through. You apply for one, and they get you. I mean, it's obviously different in the States because there isn't a private healthcare. But you usually hear that if you qualify, they'll get you a dog, and all the training will be included. And so obviously you said that. Max, let's have it right. Max is a born service dog. He just happened to be in your house when you needed a service dog, fortuitously. So what's the process now of completing his training, and then is there like a test or a form of ticking a box, and then he becomes an official graduated service dog?
Yes, like they do that here too, where you can apply for them and stuff like that. But I don't think like if I did it, my insurance stuff wouldn't cover. I'd have to come out of pocket, and they're very expensive. But if you can get them that way. But if you have a dog, like lucky enough like me, that I can train Max myself, you can be a owner trained service dog, but you still are supposed to, I know everybody probably doesn't do it because a lot of people don't get their papers, but you would take the big certification test by like a professional qualified trainer that would administer the test to go through any obstacles, distraction training, different things like that they would make sure that he passes on everything, and then he would get a certification. It's not actually even a law that he would have to have. Like I make sure his vest says service dog in training. Right now it doesn't, I make sure it's even got the in training, so if I take him anywhere, but he's allowed to go in any facility as long as he has his vest on, even with him just being in training. But I just choose to try to be a little bit more responsible about it my own self, because I want him to be fully trained, so we don't get into any situations that we don't want to be in. With him being such a big dog too, people are scared of him. I take him places, and he doesn't bark or anything, but people, yes. I had one gentleman that wouldn't even walk past us in the store because he acted like he was, and I was like, he's not. I said, he won't move. He was sitting beside me, and we weren't even moving, and he wouldn't even come through the door of the store. And I said, he's not going to bother you. He won't even, you can pass us. He's not even going to bother you. And he acted like he was scared to death even, and if Max's bark sounds vicious, which he doesn't bark, when I have his vest on, but even outside, our neighborhood and stuff, his bark sounds like he'd be so vicious, but he's not got a mean bone in his body.
Let's talk about TikTok, because clearly that's a place Baz and I are both very familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
And also we were talking before we came on air about the about how your account has really kind of blown up. Like I say, you're at 160,000 followers. this is probably only going to be 3 weeks or so before this goes. This podcast goes public, and I suspect you'll be a lot higher than 160,000 because it seems to be really blowing up at the moment. Could you,
Yeah,
could you kind of
after that video,
took us through how that's happened?
Well, I had about 7,000 followers when I posted the video of Max catching a seizure that was actually on accident. And what I was actually doing, I was going to set up with just a small video. I go through when I'm not really doing any big training for the day, because I don't big train every day. You know, we try to do something small each day unless I'm really not feeling well, but I'll do something small as small as maybe just even going through his basics like sit, stay, you know, just to keep his mind sharp, because you always want to just practice anything. So I was actually going to do a treat training video. That's where I just bring a few of his treats in with me, and I make him go through his basics. I tell him to sit, stay, lay down, speak, different things like that. And then I put his treats on the floor and I make him stay to get it, you know, just kind of a listening to me activity is kind of what that is. And I was going to just do a small one of those. So I had set my timer for my TikTok. I set it, and I set it for the timer, and I put it up where I usually set it for my kitchen. So I knew I had plenty of time. And I turned around and I had just got done doing dishes, but I had one dish left, and it was the cup that I had been using. So I was going to just do it really quickly and get it all done before I started, but I had everything set up, and he was laying by my feet, and I hadn't even been turned around for just a few seconds when he jumped up and started smelling around my legs, and then he started jumping from sides of the sink and then go around the other side and jumping. And I told him to get down at first because I had been feeling, you know, pretty decent that day, so I wasn't even thinking that he was alerting. I just thought he was, because sometimes he does that when I'm doing dishes. He'll jump up at the side of the sink and stand there beside me. It's not nothing. But then when he kept doing it from side to side, I thought, what's he doing? So I went to turn around, and when I did, I got the weird feeling in my head that I knew something was coming. So I knew what he was doing. And you kind of get like a brain fog, and it kind of gets fuzzy. It's, you know, different things happen, and it kind of, your body doesn't want to cooperate. I was trying to get to a place where I could get down faster, but your body and your mind kind of don't want to cooperate together when that's happening because it goes so fast. And so then he got himself underneath me. Well, I tried to fall, and I was going to try to catch my fall with my arm because I didn't want to land solely on Max. And he got underneath of me and got me down to the floor, and then he got underneath my head. And I actually cropped the back part of the video off because I actually went into a pretty severe seizure, and my husband and my daughter came in because they heard, well, you know, Max was also barking from the floor. And so they came in, and I cropped that part out because it was a little bit more graphic than what I wanted to show on TikTok. So then I wasn't going to post that video, and my daughter's like, you should post that anyway, because that's kind of information and kind of, you know, for people that may go through that, you know, kind of helping video. And I was like, I don't know if I want to post that. You know, that's kind of, people probably won't want to see that. Well, she talked me into it. So I posted it. And about 10 minutes after I posted it, I was going to take it back off because I thought, I'm just going to take that off. I don't know if I want that to be out there. And when I went to take it back off, it already had like 40,000 views, like in 10 minutes. And I was like, what in the world? And then I started getting all these follows. And then by like the next morning or sometime the next day, it already had over 1 million views, and I was getting all these, and that's where it came from. And now it's up to like 14 point something million views, and I've got like 100, you know, and it's all it stemmed from that video. But now everybody's going back and watching my other videos that they maybe wouldn't have seen if it wouldn't have been for that one, you know. And I've got a lot of messages from people with epilepsy and people that are, you know, in the process of trying to get service dogs, or even people that's training their dogs, you know, wanting tips. And, you know, I'm not a dog trainer by any means. I just do what I do, you know, but I would help anybody any way I can, but I'm not any kind of licensed trainer, you know. And I tell everybody that I just kind of wing it myself. And, you know, it works for Max and I and I think it's because of Max. It's not anything to say with my training, but we do work really hard. I mean, you know, we keep up on it, and we're really in tune together, and we work really hard on his training. It's not easy. You know, it's not something you can be like, oh, you know, there it is and it's done. That's not the case. I mean, we've been working on this for like a year. And, you know, they say it takes about 2 years to train a service dog. And, you know, we've been at it for about a year. And like I said, I don't do big training every day, but a big part of it is because Max is just so intuitive, and he's just very smart, and he picks up, and I just think he's got the natural instinct, and it just makes it easy.
This is the thing about TikTok that both Mike and I talk about quite often, is the fact that it's brought so many people together. But you've probably
Yeah.
formed your own community of people that, so clearly with this sort of virality of your video, and it sounds quite a visceral thing. You must have people who literally are like not only fascinated by it, but also have sort of experienced the same kind of thing that you go
Yeah.
through. Maybe not on the same level, but obviously that's what I'm saying about this community, where people now are tuning into you to be
Yes.
educated by the things that you're doing, and also to get advice from you, and also just to give you their advice, I suppose.
Exactly, because there has even been people, I mean, people are like, I'm so intrigued by your videos. I've thought about posting with my own dog, you know, or this or that. And I have this sort of epilepsy. What happens before you go into your seizures? You know, this happened to me. Have you ever experienced this? Or, you know, questions about medication. I've talked back and forth with so many people that I would have never, you know, got the opportunity to even meet or even talk to. And it helps me as well, you know, just not, you know, and just having people that know what you're experiencing and kind of going through the same things you do. Because even though you have people around you, and you know, I've got a tremendous support team with, you know, my husband and my kids and my family, but when you actually talk to someone else that has experienced what you're experiencing, it just kind of helps you, as far as, you know, you have mental days where it's just exhausting, you know, just everything's exhausting, and it's just really helpful to talk to people that actually have experienced or kind of know what you're going through.
Well, we are now part of your community, and I'm thankful for that. Really enjoyed your story. I particularly enjoyed basically being hit in the face with a massive part of your story that I didn't know about.
Yeah, I didn't know, because I knew you said you looked at some of my TikToks, and he said he hadn't looked at any. So I'm thinking I knew he didn't know, and I wasn't sure how in depth you went. So I'm thinking, okay, when I tell this, they're probably either they are going to be really shocked. Well, I knew he would be really shocked, but that's a big part of my story, and a lot of people don't know. I told it in one of my lives, and I broke down crying. So I'm really proud of myself for even getting through it, because you know, I can get emotional with it still sometimes, but it's a big part of my story, because it was a really big impact, you know, of something that seizures can cause to people, you know, that people don't realize. And I actually had a girl on one of my videos that said that happened to me. You know, I've never encountered anyone else that happened to. You know, it makes you feel like, you know, am I the only one that, you know? And she said, this happened to me. And she said, I lost, you know, not quite as many years as I did, but she said, I completely, you know, and she messaged me, and we had a big chat about it. And it kind of, you know, it was empowering for both of us, you know, to talk to somebody that kind of went through something similar. And so, you know, it just, you never know who your story might touch, or that they could touch you, you know, by getting in touch with you. So
I hope this doesn't embarrass you, but I think you're an amazing lady, and
thank
your story is incredible. And obviously, you finding Max is just, I'm literally like, my mind's blown about how, you know, how you've done this. So yeah,
I appreciate it.
It's been fascinating. It's been uplifting. Thank you so much for coming on.
I appreciate you guys having me. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Massive thank you to your daughter for not getting a bike as well.
Yeah.
But
She always laughed, because I always tell that it was supposed to be my daughter's. Max, what are you doing back there?
Max has basically come to finish the video by cleaning himself in an intimate area in the background there. So thanks for that, Max. If you if you are listening on an audio platform, if you want to see that, you'll have to head over to our YouTube channel to get.
And I think it's worth saying he's a beautiful dog.
Thank you.
He's absolutely gorgeous.
He's literally the most handsome German Shepherd I've ever seen.
Thank you very much.
He's amazing. So again, Tina, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks to everyone for listening, for watching. Please, wherever you're listening or watching, subscribe. We will have more extraordinary people with extraordinary stories to tell coming up.
So, go follow Tina and Max, and just see the story for yourself.
Tina_N_Max on TikTok. Go and follow. Thanks again for everybody for watching, for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.